This is a BENFEI USB C hub and video output. I received this to review for free. If you wanted to buy it, it would cost you about $17. They have not paid me for my review, and my opinions are my own. So in the box, you get a little manual and the device itself. So this guy has an HDMI out port, a VGA out port, and those are your video exports from your USB-C here. And then it also has a USB-C and a USB-A port, so that while you're using this guy, you're not losing access to your USB ports. And according to the manual, you can plug in a VGA monitor and an HDMI monitor at the same time, and it doesn't need to install any drivers. It says this guy here supports USB-C power delivery 3.0 up to 65 watts, so it can charge your laptop up to 60 watts. And then this is a USB 3.0 data here. It's unclear if you can use this guy for data or only for charging, so I'm going to take a look and see if this will pass through data by itself without charging. So plugging in a USB-A card reader to the USB-A port, it shows up and I'm able to copy files from my micro SD card and view them. So this is transferring a 4 GB file, it says in about 3 minutes. Now when I plug the USB-C side of this card reader into the USB-C port, nothing shows up. So it looks like the USB-C does not pass through any data. It's simply there for USB-C power delivery charging. Alright, I have this guy plugged in with the power delivery port, and this laptop is negotiated up to 20 volts at 2.5 amps, and that is 50 watts. That's the maximum power I've ever seen this laptop draw, so it is basically not being limited by this guy at all. So, I've tested it up to 50 watts. I expect it would probably hit its full 60 watt potential here. So when this hub is powered, the USB-A port puts out 5 volts at 0.16 amps. If I start drawing more current than that, the voltage does start to sag a little bit. So it's 4.9 volts at half an amp. And if we get up to something like a 1 amp draw, at 1 amp here, it's 4.75 volts. So you can definitely get an amp out of that, 5 watts out of that guy. You can draw a lot more, but the voltage does continue to sag. So, we're down to 4.5 volts to get up to 1.75 amps. And I've drawn a lot more than that, so, we'll go up to 3 amps here. So there we're drawing 3 amps, and the voltage is sagged to 4 volts. So depending on your device you're plugging into that port, it may or may not accept 4 amps or 4 volts at 3 amps, which is about 12 watts. So expect no more than about 10 watts out of the USB-A port here. Alright, so the instant I plugged my MacBook Air into this guy with the HDMI cable hooked up to my TV, it says, hey, there's a Samsung TV here. Now, it doesn't automatically turn on the TV, so I did need to use my remote control to do that. And once the TV's on, I'm currently mirroring my display to the TV. Now, I believe we can set this up to not mirror, to have separate displays. So now I have an extended display from the laptop to the TV, so it's 2 different displays. I don't actually have a VGA device to test this guy, but the HDMI worked, the USB-A worked, the power delivery in worked, so I'm just going to trust them that if you attach a VGA monitor or projector, this guy would work with that as well. So I got this as my travel video adapter, plus bonus it has a USB-A port. So when I plug this into my MacBook Air, I can plug in something with a USB-A port if I need to. I would have liked if this guy here was data capable, so it was like a 2-port hub, but it's not. It's just you plug in your power adapter here, and then you will charge your laptop through that cable. Now there's still another USB-C port on my laptop I can use for USB-C while using this if I need to, but it only really changes one of your USB-C ports into a USB-A port plus some video outputs. Now at the price point, that's perfectly reasonable behavior. You know, if you need a way to display on external projectors, put a single external monitor up, this will work pretty well for you. They claim that you can plug in 2 monitors, one in HDMI and one in VGA, and have 2 external monitors. I haven't been able to test that because I've only tested the HDMI port. So finish-wise, it looks like anodized aluminum with some plastic on the end pieces here. The cable is nice and thick, feels solid. The ends of the cable work nicely. Plug feels good. So I'm quite happy with what this provides at this inexpensive price point.